outside there to critically think and project the future of the East African community. The dilemma we are in, it can come to the end. We are hopeful. But yet, we must think twice. We look at some who are business people, those who do business that want to maybe to do transaction in Democratic Republic of Congo. And others who would want to do it or to continue doing it going to Rwanda. And as we cross, because this links us to Tanzania, that links us also to Kenya, where the M23 continue to exist, that should have been, whether we call it a defeat or the conflict resolved for some many years ago. The willingness of leaders seems to be minimal. They have tried to show the willingness by sending a force, the East African Community Force. Most of us who were saying this is a good deal, we were saying maybe something better is going to come out. But all of a sudden, the exchange, the Cold War and the real war, as a matter of fact, between D.R.C, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Rwanda is alive. The conflict is alive. The mistrust by the citizens of Democratic Republic of Congo against Ugandans by the social media projection of the protests by the citizens of Democratic Republic of Congo showing no to our president, to the president of Uganda. Their protests, they are saying no to Kagame, the president of Rwanda. They believe that the suffering, the displacement of 200,000 people is because of us. How are we going to build up the trust? How are we going to solve this problem? How are we going to tackle all of this challenge that has existed for the last 22 years with the existence of this force, the M23?
That is a very big question, a huge elephant, but I'm going to dissect it in the simplest way possible. When you're having rats in your house, don't go and start thinking first of the neighbor or telling the neighbor you brought the rats to my house because you put a garbage place in your place near my gate. First address the rats in the house, then go to the neighbor. The D.R.C is so vast that the D.R.C I have known over years was Kinshasa.
The capital city.
The capital city.
During the days of the late Seseko
Mobutu, then come the Kabilas, the Who, and all those to date. But Lubumbashi, Ituri, the provinces down there, the near Zambia, the copper belt there, you know, all those provinces. D.R.C, Democratic Republic du Congo, is so big that one person overseeing a whole vast country was a major problem. They focused and concentrated on Kinshasa. At one point you could be in Kinshasa and think that you dropped from some small village in Paris and landed into the city in Kinshasa.
Should you call also for its subdivision like Southern Sudan?
I don't think that would be the solution because the vast part of the D.R.C is a rainforest.
Okay.
But this rainforest is a cover for a lot of what happens in darkness, but this time in broad daylight.
Should you go for disarmament? Because now we're interrogating what we should do.
What we are
disarmament of the M23 and all militias.
How are you going to disarm them without bringing them to the table to sit and discuss?
Okay, there we go.
Because they are going to ask that what mandate are you coming to ask us to disarm us? They consider themselves a force, an army. We can call them a militia, but for them they are like an army. You try to flip the coin. What was NRA before it took over power? They were rebels.
They were rebels.
Yeah. And the UNLA was the army. Yeah. So when until they took over, that's why now they became an official army of the country. But they were rebels. The M23 is hoping that they can also become the major army. But we don't wait for that because we wouldn't say that there is a right
When we
time.
look at power sharing, I'm trying to think
So what I'm going
discuss.
to reach towards
Mm.
is that we need the East African community to know treaties, alliances, and all covenants have been signed and broken all through thousands of years of history, and that should be a learning. Don't see that today and make a decision based on today. Let's try to learn how did most of these countries come up and say now we can work collaboratively. One of the pieces was let us sit at the table. There are so many issues that were resolved on the table, including arranged marriages. Daughter of so, marry son of so. We create a bond. We shall not fight again. Do you think that Israel can ever fight Egypt in any war? Research, you will find out why. Israel can never and will never attack Egypt unless if Egypt is part of a hostile force under the Arab League. But it can't do it directly. They have a law on that, a covenant, a treaty. You see? But let's get back to our own land. That bring these forces together, and they don't bring these foreign guys here from The Hague and where to come and monitor that. The UN can be there. They can come and keep some peace or give some bit of food to the people to survive. Where I look at UNHCR and I'm like, what is 30,000 Uganda shillings going to do for a person for 30 days? That is less than $10. That's $8 for 30 days. But it's better than nothing. Uganda offers, I think, the second largest number of refugees a home. Uganda does not maintain refugees in camps. They are in settlements. They can integrate with the communities, do business, and also look for jobs, and they live like any other human. You get it? Maybe that's why everybody runs to Uganda when it's hot in their home. That they find Uganda as solace. But first things first, bring all these factions onto the table. If we had a confederation, and if I were the leader of the East African Confederation, I would say let's first resolve these different parties which are fighting at country level. Yeah, MRS, M23.
Do you blame Rwanda? Do you blame Rwanda? Let me say it is true. Me, I owe my statement.
Yeah.
Let me say, suppose it is true.
Suppose it's true.
Yes, suppose it is true that Rwanda is pursuing those rebels who were part of the genocide as it is being claimed and alleged. Do you blame them? And whereas it is not the answer for sustainable peace, because we are after peace, how can that be resolved? Because Rwanda and that challenge of the group which is called to have castigated, to have been involved in genocide, they also need to come to a place of harmony and peace. How can that be achieved? And what Rwanda should have done in that way? Because it is one of the central contention.
Do you remember a statement, a quote you made, and I also reiterated it, that the Bourbon monarchy learned nothing, forgot nothing?
Yes, sir.
When President Habyarimana's plane was shot down at Kanombe, where was he coming from? With the president of Burundi?
Negotiating peace from TZ.
Negotiating peace in TZ.
Which was again the way how to allow the Tutsi,
then back home and see how they can form a government.
They be together.
They be together. The time when they thought they had gotten a breakthrough, plane is shot down, including the Burundian president who was having a lift on this one plane. Rest in peace, their lives. So if you were involved in a plot against a peace process, what guarantee is it that now you have changed to support peace processes? That is the question of the Rwandese who are in D.R.C. Are you trying to get it?
So they cannot have trust.
So they want a neutral ground which is not Uganda, because where was the attack from? The attack was from Uganda. Where did they enter from? They entered from Uganda. The neutral ground is not Uganda. So probably it could be Kenya as a member of the E.A.C. to say, guys, come, all you warring factions for the different countries, let's sit, find some peace, and we integrate you. I love Kagame's, President Kagame's gachachas. Why don't the gachachas work even extend the gachachas into D.R.C.? Do you have to extend the bullet into D.R.C.? Extend the gachachas into there if you're a proponent of peace.
To bring that coming together.
Yeah,
say, please,
coming together, please, we want to work with you,
forgive you.
Want to work with you. But now we forgive you, you forgive me under what mandate? That what did I do? Because you chased me out of a country, now you want to forgive me.
We want that to enter as me again. when you are pursuing peace,
yeah,
it is a good talk.
Yeah.
And we want to export it somewhere.
Yes.
When you are pursuing peace, you tend not to say I'm the right,
yeah,
and so in the wrong.
Yeah.
It is what we're saying.
Exactly.
That you first accept that all of us we have sinned, every Christian, as I am indeed.
Yes.
We have sinned and run short of the glory of God. That's Apostle Paul writing to the Romans.
We have fallen short of the glory of God.
So something happened. All of us because what I could look at, all of them, they killed each other.
Yes.
Whether one used a panga, whether one used a bullet, for sure I'm not coming in for judgment. Everybody did wrong. So in the process there is that kind of understanding that is supposed, as we've said, to extend that reconciliation.
Yes.
So that is resolved.
So now the reconciliation should be extended but mediated by a neutral party this time around.
Who is that mediator?
And this youngest man in the E.A.C. now, President Ruto.
Yes.
You think he just came to have a party? Wait, when things get into the East African community, he's going to have to mediate for these who are there.
He should be the one to do so.
Yeah, because it's going to be, I'm a businessman, I'm an economist, I want to see Kenya thrive as the largest economy but driving other economies. How am I going to do that when you guys are busy fighting each other? So you come to the table in Nairobi, we sit, solve the things, do the gachachas in Kenya if you can't do them in the bushes of Congo. You in Uganda, sort out your issues if you can't do it in D.R.C. D.R.C. push your army into these vast bushes, and then they keep the peace. I don't think the UN is going to keep peace because they've never loved you.
I want to come from the public policy point of view, and maybe there is also exchange of the governance system that may be needed in D.R.C. For Nigeria, they had a federal states, and the vastness, the huge, the way how D.R.C. is huge, may need to adopt some of the methods, whether a federal decentralization of her states to bring regional governance. Would that also bridge the gap and as well create an opportunity for economic progress of the neighborhood?
One of the ways, yes. Professor Almas Roy, I was following up on this state which wanted to break away from Nigeria. Not the Delta state, but maybe the next show I'll have remembered it. Okay. But Professor Mazrui was always talking about them trying. When you go to the Delta, there is peace and everything until you go where the oil is. and you realize that not
So
everything
the question remains resources.
resources.
So how
So
can we
now,
manage these resources
that point of
and as
view
well manage peace?
gets us to the point of that as much as we are rotating around peace, justice, reconciliation, which is very good, put resources on the table and make sure everybody equitably gets these resources, even the forgiving heart will come through. Economics has taken over the soul, that money is not bad. Greed is bad.
But money is not bad.
Money has never been bad. I'm a businessman. My company is in all these African countries. We've seen all these things in D.R.C. I've been to almost every country on this continent. Even at the worst of their times when there are wars, I'm flown in, I see, and somehow I'm sneaked out because I have to see how his business moving and everything. But just to say that put the resources on the table and say now we are into the Baganda call it Omukago, the East African community. Let us look at what do we start with. Let's start with, let us weigh the economic opportunities that there lies, which everybody is so blinded to look at. But it is okay, let them look at the economics. But the economics boosts production. But who governs the trend of the economics? It's not with the private sector. It's the policy regulatory framework. Who leads it? The governments. These governments have to reach a point of like understanding that friction, whether amongst countries or amongst the dissidents who are outside, is going to foil these economics. Because D.R.C. has all these resources talked about. The area where those resources are, there is action. And they are the poorest. Let me tell you this statement as we go into part of the conclusion.
Yes,
that the Democratic Republic of Congo, Republique Democratique du Congo, is the most resourced and richest country in the world, the poorest on the African continent.
and at the same time the poorest.
Are you getting the irony?
I'm getting it.
The richest in the world, the poorest on the continent. There's a problem with Africa. That's the simplest thing. Africans understand the West is not going to come solve issues for us.
But now, as you want, you're making.
We need to trade,
Yes.
but have equal opportunities for everyone. And you will see the M23s coming themselves and saying, guys, we are going to be in charge of this road, but you can pass. You bring your goods in, goods out. We get our toll and everything. Families are happy. Guns will be put down. Economics and resources, has the way it changes the mind. You can't, you are a pastor, a doctor, pastor, Christian. There is no way you're going to convince me, to be committed to the Bible and the Quran or anything when my children are hungry at home.
But to be hungry, does it mean one should first kill one another? I mean, to solve the challenge of hunger. Because one of recent one was making an appeal. Take it back again to Christianity.
Yeah.
One said, that's Apostle Paul again, that foolish Galatians, who bewitched you? We all here, Africans, and those are viewing us.
Yes.
Why kill one another? You are of the same, even all the same belonging. You are all Africans. Does it mean, that's my question, in order to get it, to get the resources, I should first kill you? Because the resources, the opportunity for resources, we are looking at land, we are looking at gold.
At the gold.
We are looking at the other natural resources, the existence of forests.
Yeah, let's say all the resources
Does it
which
require
are
someone first
natural,
kill you?
which are it does not need somebody to first kill you. Neither is it that because I can see a handful of birds which are edible, that I should kill them to feed my children in order to come to your church or to your mosque. I've killed, right? There was a creation, there was a life, it was a bird. Isn't that life? It's the same as saying that, do I have to first kill a person? Let's say that the people in the midst of the East African Legislative Assembly, the Yala, who are going to be joined by D.R.C and all this, should have the abilities, willingness, and capacity to represent the East African people now with this whole block of 7 countries to be able to deliberate on policies, legal frameworks, jurisdictions, and treaties which are going to end the war, which are going to create respect, which are going to create a dignity for man, one-to-one, but also pathways to create respect, mutual respect, remove egos, and then also create peace, justice, and reconciliation, active commissions which will counsel even presidents and leaders to get out of their hatred and treat the others as also humans, and same as the others also to come to the table. Then the economics will now thrive. Other than that, if there are no roads because they've been cut off by rebel activity, no matter whether we are, Ethiopia is also by the, I think, planning to come, Somalia, as long as there is still the political differences, which is acceptable. Each country as a sovereign state can do its own political system, but at the end of the day, it should favor the economics of the region. So to do business, one of is the tax regime. Do we have similar tax regimes that if at the port of entry in Mombasa or Dar es Salaam, if I'm stamped, I can sail through up to D.R.C. as long as I have my seal? That is one that these countries have to agree upon. The pricing is the price at which I consume, say in Tanzania, is the same I can consume a product, let's say this water, in Rwanda or Southern Sudan. Yes. What will bring that? It will say countries look at the comparative advantage, what you can produce, and then let one country leave the one with a more comparative advantage to produce, and then be the specialist in that, and then I also be specialist in the other. We balance out the balance of payments such that prices may be in different currencies, though there's a single currency which is coming, maybe the East African shilling or whatever it will be called, but at least all these countries are trading on leveled grounds and they're not skewed. But the moment political, economic policies are skewed, integration and cooperation is just on paper. In reality, planes will fly in, like the D.R.C plane. You heard of the plane which flew into what?
To Caesar in Rwanda.
Yeah, it will see
there was a serious complaint that
Rwanda,
there's an abuse of their
just recently, and you're talking about the
withdrawal also, the withdrawal of the D.R.C ambassador.
The ambassador, you see, there is all this. So we need to understand integration and cooperation. It's a process that needs not only, we don't have to agree to be on the same footing as long as we are serving in the interests of our people.
I will ask you this question as we conclude.
Yes.
Some of the unitary diplomatic bodies, political unions,
Yes.
the Western the ECOWAS, as you have information and knowledge about them,
Yes.
including the European Union, you were talking about the NATO.
Yeah.
Some of them, they seem to be self-sustainable and autonomous, to take decisions that can promote the welfare of their people, including even mitigating or halting some of governments, either states which are dictatorial or which are breaching the treaty. Why is it that ours, as we are going forward, this is 20 years ago after revival, but one state does contrary to what the treaty says, and there seems to be no one, no either, which can halt a such challenge? Just in your conclusive
In the conclusion,
and the way forward.
in conclusion, I'll say that integration and cooperation on the African continent amongst the regional economic commissions, the RECs, the likes of Arab Maghreb, CCN-SAD, ECOWAS, E.A.C, all of them are hinged on a political pillar. How much of the private sector is involved in that is very minimal. In these Western countries, the private sector has a very huge voice, including, by the way, don't forget that there's been a Brexit. So the European Union, Britain broke away. The strongest bloc broke away. So anything can happen in any union. Yeah?
ECOWAS, but ECOWAS is strong. I would like to see a case which we may associate with to give us a hope for E.A.C.
Let me tell you something, and I'll conclude on this. Every regional economic commission or bloc on the African continent has its advantages, has its uniqueness, and has its dynamics. I can never sit on television and say let E.A.C replicate what is happening with ECOWAS, because when you look at ECOWAS, you would even say that I would rather be in the E.A.C. Maybe talk about SADC, which is also dominated by the Republic of South Africa, and other countries are all begging. When you go to ECOWAS, the Francophone countries are at war all the time. Even Nigeria, the Delta region, is at war. What is happening there might even be worse than the East African community. So let us leave it at its own uniqueness and deal with our issues, challenges, and problems, and then let the African Union be empowered to deal with all the RECs.
Oh yes, we appreciate for that last recommendation. The African Union should be empowered, and it's high time the heads of state do concentrate on ensuring that the African Union is stronger. Africa can be one, but in the process, before we be one, we should be one mind to be able to be true Pan-Africanists that are pursuing a common agenda that can lead to the transformation of humanity, both economically and socially. It has been a pleasure to be with you, Dr. Clark Sembo.
Thank you
for
Dr.
giving in your time, especially articulating on the issues that affects the region and on how we can mitigate the current challenges, bridge the gap, and build on for the better East African community. Good night.